Men's women's track and field, they began this past weekend to start their seasons. Men's and women's basketball pulled off two huge wins on the road at Barton, and head softball coach Tony Mele is our guest this week. It's the Crusader Corner on the Belmont Abbey Sports Network. The Belmont Abbey women's basketball team went on the road this weekend to Mount Olive and Barton. They fell to Mount Olive by 6, but rebounded nicely against arch rival Barton on Saturday. 4 players scored in double figures, led by senior Joe Snow. She netted 21 points. Kiana Spivey also scored 11, just missing out on a double-double. That's a huge win for Belmont Abbey as they are tied atop the conference early with a 2-1 record. On the men's side, like the women, the men lost the Mount Olive game, but they came back with force to beat Barton on Saturday afternoon. The Crusaders scored the first 11 points to get an early lead. Dan Fickey continues to get scoring and rebounding from Mario Lacey in the paint as he finished with 15 points and 8 rebounds. Women's track, the debut of both men and women this weekend. Savannah Willis posted a top 10 finish at the Women's College Kickoff in Winston-Salem. Men's track also started their season at the Rams Winter Challenge. 4 different Crusaders won events. Sam Lynch won both the 3,000 and 5,000 meter runs, while Thomas Deerfelder was the first to cross the finish line in the 1 mile. Men's bowling, Brandon Haney topped 3rd in 3 of 5 matches to help Belmont Abbey finish 3rd at the Lincoln Memorial Challenge. And when we return, head softball coach Tony Mele stops by the corner. We'll talk to him next after this on the Belmont Abbey Sports Network.
They actually help with building the inner man of each student.
My coaches have been great. I've really transformed.
You get a sense of community. To be an athlete and to be involved in that has been a really fun experience.
And we welcome you back to the Crusader Corner here on the Belmont Abbey Sports Network, voice of the Crusaders, Jeffrey Childs, and we're joined this week by softball coach Tony Mele. Coach, welcome to the corner.
Jeff, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Well, Tony, you have taken over the softball program, only been here leading the program for a couple of years now, but you've led it to some great success. Where did your journey take you to get here to Belmont Abbey?
Well, it is an interesting journey. About 15 years or so ago, I taught here a couple of courses and really fell in love with the Abbey and the students back then. And then as the careers wander through, did some high-level travel ball for 10 years or so, and then hooked back up with the Abbey to do some softball coaching. So I'm in my 4th year at the Abbey.
And a lot of coaches have different ways that they lead a program, their philosophy, and you're a very, player-first kind of a coach and very intense with some of the drills you lead at practices. The players have a lot to say about that. When you think about your way to lead a program, what's the first thing you look forward to in that approach?
Well, I think you're dead on that. We're looking for athletes that are 100% checked in, willing to work hard from the second that practice starts to the second that practice ends. I'm sure some would say we're highly organized on our drills and we just run right through them. I think what we're trying to do in practice is create challenges for them. In other words, with the philosophy that practice is harder than games, mentally harder and physically harder, so that when we get into a game setting, things feel easier and more comfortable. There's less things going on, and put them in an environment where they can perform.
And now for you, going into this year, a lot of expectations this year, and you guys had a great season last year, great beginning, middle, and end of the season. And now this year, it's a new challenge. You lose most of your infield this year, which I'm sure has kept you up at night just a little bit, but a lot of great freshmen coming in and a lot of upperclassmen. They're going to be leaders on this team.
Absolutely. So last year was a heck of a ride, as most people know, coming off setting a record for win streak and then finishing tied for second in Conference Carolinas. A lot of high expectations coming into this year, and we still have them. But you are correct. We have, in some games, conceivably, we'll have a freshman pitcher, brand new third, second, and shortstop. So that's a considerable amount of athleticism we're putting in the middle of the field and trust in the middle of the field. And they've got to grow into it, and they've been growing into it all fall, and it's been a great fall of learning. Certainly ups and downs like everybody's fall, and we're hoping to come out on a hot streak.
Belmont Abbey is a special place, Tony. The spiritual component as a Catholic institution, elite academics, teams that expect to compete for championships, and you are slowly bringing your team along to get to that level. When you think about this program, the assistant coaches you have around you, Sierra Van Zandt, all the resources you have around you, if you were to talk to a potential recruit and go into one of those living rooms and sit down with them and their parents, so what would you tell them about what makes Belmont Abbey unique?
Well, for starters, we have top academic programs, which I think a lot of parents are looking for and a lot of athletes are looking for. Our placement rates in some of our programs are just phenomenal. So we kind of joke at the end of the day we're throwing a bright yellow ball around, but why we're really here is to get integrated into society when we're done and land some of those top jobs, and I think we're unbelievably fantastic at that. I think our culture here in general is one of giving and understanding with the people around. I don't think I've met anybody here that hasn't been willing to help somebody, whether it's player to player or player to faculty. So you kind of surround all that with top academic programs, and then when we're recruiting, our location is second to none. I mean, really, if you want to feel like you're in the middle of nowhere and study and sit on campus with calm, you can do that. And then we always say if you want the cute college town, you go one direction, and if you want the craziness, you go to Charlotte in the other direction. So I think there's something for everybody here to keep them entertained, and then also to keep them focused on getting done what we need to get done.
We raise the red here at Belmont Abbey, but we also raise leaders, and Tony Mele, a part of that, raising great leaders here on the softball program. Tony, thanks for stopping by the corner.
Fantastic. Thank you.
When we come back, we will look ahead at the week to come in Belmont Abbey athletics, and we'll be back after this on the corner on the Belmont Abbey Sports Network.
Oh, this? I was playing catch a little too hard with the dog. He's got quite an arm. I've been through this before. It'll be better in a couple of days. Probably.
Visit one of Ortho Carolina's specialists right away by logging on to orthocarolina.com. Leave the waiting to this guy.
Come on, honey.
Ortho Carolina. You improved.
Welcome back to the Crusader Corner on the Belmont Abbey Sports Network. It's that time of the week where we look ahead to what's going to happen this upcoming week in athletics here at Belmont Abbey College. Both the men's and women's basketball teams are back home this week. They welcome Emmanuel on Saturday inside the Wheeler Center. First tip for the women is at 5 p.m., while the men play at 7 p.m. Tickets are available for both games via hometown ticketing. You can go to abbeyathletics.com/ticketing, and we're on the air for the pregame show 15 minutes prior to both games. Well, that's all for this week. Thanks to head softball coach Tony Mele for joining us on the Crusader Corner. Such a joy to speak to. Softball not that far away as the season gets going in February. That's all for the corner this week. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you watching as always. This is Jeffrey Childs, voice of the Crusaders. We'll see you next time on the Crusader Corner on the Belmont Abbey Sports Network.